Hi, everybody. Hello, hello. Look at that photograph. Look at that image from the Times today. So damn sad. This situation in Surfside, just north of Miami, that I want to talk a little bit about, and also that will be the focus of my CNN program today. First of all, how we doing? Hey, I was looking at the comments that are posted here, and I tried to respond to Cliff, who said, "Why did you switch platforms?" But I can't get it to post. I'm not sure why, Cliff. But here's the answer. I'm really excited about the fact that for the last month plus, we have been posting to YouTube about one radio interview per day. Really good stuff that enables you to, I'm trying to think of what TC says, watch how radio is made. Mostly they are interviews from the program. Sometimes they're commentaries that I deliver. But I think that the quality of them is really great. There's a recent graduate from Temple University named Jarek Rutz, and he does the promotion work. So each day while I'm on radio, in consultation with TC, we will make a decision as to what should be posted today. So, for example, yesterday it was an interview about the Derek Chauvin sentencing as it was about to unfold. And by the way, my guest nailed it by saying it would be a 20 to 25-year sentence. I actually thought it would be a little bit less. She was right. I was wrong. So the point is, there's really good stuff that's being posted on my YouTube channel. And because these Saturday morning forums before I go live at CNN attract an audience, not only when we're conversing together now, but also then people seem to watch them after they're concluded, I wanted to promote what I'm doing on YouTube, and this seemed like a good way to do it. So that's a long answer to your inquiry, Cliff, but thank you for asking that question. And please take a look at some of the interviews and commentaries that are posted on my YouTube channel, because it's really good stuff. And I guess I say without too much humility that it's a reminder of some of the great content that we are generating each and every day on SiriusXM's POTUS channel. I give credit to TC for tracking down the people that I'm always interested in speaking with. So good question, and that's the answer. There's some breaking news this morning pertaining to the situation in Miami. I'm excited about the fact that I have a structural engineer named Matiz Levy joining me on the program today, and his engineering projects include the Georgia Dome and the Javits Center. In addition, a whole host of well-known museums. So let me set up the breaking news on the building collapse by first reminding you that we knew yesterday's development was that a researcher at Florida International University, whose name is Shimon Duwinski, did a study of this building in 2020, a building that was constructed in 1981, and concluded that there were potential sinkage issues. That's my lay term. He would say it differently. In other words, a Florida high-rise that collapsed early Thursday was determined to be unstable a year ago in this 2020 analysis. Said his research is not meant to suggest a certainty about what caused the collapse, but found that the building was sinking at a rate of about 2 millimeters a year in the 90s, which could have slowed or accelerated. He goes on to say that that might not sound significant, but over time, it could be. The paper that he generated looks like this. It's very technical and above my pay grade, but the part that seems to have the most significance I highlighted. And what he said is he's talking about Miami Beach being a densely populated barrier island, gives some description of the geography of Miami Beach. And then there's this line. In some locations, as in the eastern part of the city, the detected subsidence is of a 12-story high condominium building. The detected subsidence rate is into 1 to 3 millimeter per year range with uncertainty levels of 0.6 to 0.8, although higher subsidence velocities up to 3.8 millimeters a year are registered in the artificial islands located west of the city, yada, yada, yada. So significant, maybe. And I heard people with expertise saying, well, if the building were subsiding at 2 millimeters or thereabouts a year, maybe it says something about the soil. Some people have thought that maybe there's even a climate change explanation in all of this. The wetlands on which the building was built may have been unstable, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That was yesterday's story. Here's today's story. And the New York Times just broke this early this morning, and CNN is in the process of confirming the information, and I suspect that they will do so. Today's headline is this, and too late for the print edition of the paper. But today's headline says, 3 years before the deadly collapse of the Champlain Towers South, I'll come back to that, by the way, the South reference, something else I've just learned. A consultant found alarming evidence of, quote, major structural damage to the concrete slab below the pool deck and abundant cracking and crumbling of the columns, beams, and walls of the parking garage under the 13-story building. And then further along in the Times story, it says, I think these are the key paragraphs. At the ground level of the complex, vehicles can drive in next to a pool deck where residents would lounge in the sun. Mr. Morabito in 2018 said that the waterproofing below the pool deck and entrance drive was failing, quote, causing major structural damage to the concrete structural slab below these areas. The report added that the failure to replace the waterproofing in the near future will cause the extent of the concrete deterioration to expand exponentially. The problem, he said, was that the waterproofing was laid flat, not sloped in a way that would allow water to run off, an issue that he called a major error in the original design. The replacement would be extremely expensive, he warned, and cause a major disturbance to residents. Is this the answer? We don't know. I'm just giving you the latest development as people are trying to figure out what went on here. At the same time, it is still a rescue mission for the 150 or so who are missing. Something else. So I knew that it was called Champlain Towers South, but I didn't stop and appreciate, well, wait a minute, if it's the South building, are there others? In the Times, at the very end of the story, and I haven't seen reportage of this, but I have to believe these folks are really worried. The Times says a nearly identical companion property, Champlain Towers North, was built in the same year, a few hundred yards up the beach. It was not immediately clear whether any of the issues raised by the engineer in the South project had also been found in the other buildings. What a sad story. What a sad, sad story. So that continues to be the lead issue of the day, and I will talk about it, as I say, with a structural engineer on my program today. This issue of employees having their pick of the litter of jobs, and many of them, quitting in record numbers, continues to be a subject of interest to me. I'm going to I met someone this week. I met a guy this week who is the president and CEO of a Wisconsin-based outdoor power equipment manufacturer. Think lawnmowers and snowblowers. And he told me that he was trying to hire 400 new employees, and that he had offered $2,000 bonuses. You had to stay, I think the time period was 6 months, and 38% of those who he hired weren't around to collect the $2,000 bonus. Now, you may say, well, is it a dirty job? Was it an onerous situation? He would say not. And his story is so similar to so many others. I had to ask my producer to fact check something that's in one of my scripts for CNN today, which is that we give a sampling of what's going on around the country in terms of employers offering benefits to try and lure new employees to come and be hired. And at Jersey Mike's sub shop, there's a $10,000 bonus. This is in California, being offered for the assistant manager position. The president said yesterday, employers have to pay more money. So, like which is it? Are they not paying enough, although they're offering all these bonuses? Or are we in the midst of a fundamental realignment of workers and people who post-pandemic have had epiphanies about how they want to spend their time and what they want to do for a living? So I love that subject. The survey question of the day today at smerconish.com, and I hope you'll go vote, asks this: should moderate Democrats, such as Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema, agree to end the filibuster to allow passage of federal voting right legislation, even with no Republican support? And I've been saying on radio for several days now something that Ron Brownstein wrote more eloquently than I could offer in the Atlantic. And this is not the way that Ron says it. This is pretty much the way that I say it, which is that Democrats have signed on to Joe Manchin's compromise on voting rights, in part because they know no Republican is going to support it. And that maybe going through this exercise will cause Manchin and Sinema of Arizona to finally say, you know what, we're not getting anything done unless we end the filibuster. So that's what I'm getting at with today's survey question. And Ron Brownstein, who is brilliant and one of my favorite guests, will join me. And then, yeah, I'm into the Britney Spears story. I can't explain it. There's so much that we don't know about it. But what most interests me is the legal representation and the fact that Britney Spears said at that hearing earlier this week that she wasn't aware of the fact that she could challenge and seek to end the conservatorship. Well, what kind of legal counsel is she being provided if she wasn't advised of that possibility? Now, maybe she was advised of that possibility and she said otherwise, or she didn't hear, or, I don't know. I can't just accept what she said because what she said went unresponded to. But it is a highly unusual case, to say the least. I had watched that documentary. I thought the documentary, I don't remember what it was called. Maybe it was called Free Britney. I don't know. But I thought it was extremely well done and a case that's worthy of attention. But I want to delve into it more deeply. And Sarah Wentz is an attorney who's expert in matters of conservatorship, and she will join me today to talk about it. So that's what I've got going on. The Miami collapse, American workers reluctant, resistant to new job opportunity, the fate of the voting rights bill, and the Britney Spears situation, which I think is a pretty good mix for what's going on. William Mosley: near slavery wages and employing undocumented workers is business as usual here in these United States. But William, are they slavery wages? I mean, if Jersey Mike's is offering a $10,000 bonus for an assistant manager, is that really a slave wage? Or have some Americans just said, I'm not doing that job at any price? And let's acknowledge that enhanced unemployment benefits continue in some parts of the country, enabling individuals to collect $618 a week on average. A number of states have ended it, but in some places that continues. And you'll hear employers say, I'm competing with the government. Nick: regarding Britney Spears, her claim of not being aware of her legal rights makes perfect sense. I know many who have lost rights due to self-serving lawyers. I don't know. I mean, this lawyer was hired by the court because this lawyer had experience in some pretty high-profile matters. But there was a part of the hearing where the lawyer seemed unaware of how he would go about seeking to end the conservatorship. I'll try and get into that with my guest today because I think that's a significant issue. Hello, Michelle Moore. Marcy Grigsby, Britney's lawyer apparently makes his living as a court-appointed counsel for these cases. Who is he really working for? That's part of the inherent conflict. Because and she's paying, she's sort of paying for all sides in this case. It's all coming out of her wages. Look, I know from the outside looking in, it's easy to draw the conclusion that she's been taken advantage of. I can't explain how a woman who is her age is having birth control decisions made for her, medication decisions made for her, work decisions made for her. But there has to be something in that medical file, and I'm not eager to find out what it is, that would have caused a court and several different judges to sign off on this. There was a really troubling aspect of this story. Give me a second, and I'll look in my my notes. Yeah. So in the Britney Spears case, I cannot believe I'm talking about Britney Spears, but the legal issues of it are really of interest to me. So my source for this is the New York Times. And Joe Coscarelli at the Times really seems to have owned this story. He's talking about a closed-door hearing in 2014. The New York Times was able to obtain confidential records from this 2014 hearing. Here's the paragraph that jumped off the page at me. When Mr. Ingham, that's her lawyer, mentioned that Ms. Spears believed the conservatorship prevented her from retiring, getting married, and having children, the judge at the time, Reva Getz, said, quote, "I don't recall that we made any orders about the right to marry, but you may not want to tell her that." What? You may not want to tell Britney Spears? No, we didn't put on the record an order saying she can't marry. What's the implication? That the judge thought it in her best interest not to be married or not to be married at that time. There had to be something that would cause the judge to have that opinion, but we don't know what it is. I don't know. More unknown than known. Troubling? Yeah, hell yes, of course. I mean, it's totally at odds with individual liberty. Aubie, she's a hot mess, and that's why she has oversight in the first place. There's clearly some mental health issues going on there. My heart breaks for her, whatever the hell it is. Ed, watch the movie I Care a Lot. Okay, never heard of it before, but we'll check it out. Hey, thank you all for being here, and thank you for your interest. I have to go and powder my noggin and do a rehearsal and get ready to go. Let me just see if I can answer one or two more. Sounds like North Korea, says Eric. Yeah, I guess it does. Maja, if businesses can't afford to pay a higher wage, they can't have a business. One job should be enough for people to live on. Yeah, well, that's true. I mean, I agree with you. We take kids away from parents daily, same thing. Okay, gang, I got to get to work. Thank you so much for being here. To go back to Cliff, who asked, hey, Michael, why are you here? Why are you on YouTube? Please subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't already. I suspect you have if you're here live. But look at the other offerings. At just this week, some of the interviews that were recorded, very topical and really good stuff, okay? Have a great day, everybody. Fingers crossed, prayers said for what's going on in Miami. It's so sad to see what's transpired. You know, you're asleep in your own bed and it's 1:30 in the morning and you think you're safe and secure. Incredible. Okay, see ya. I hope I see you on CNN.